I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Just when you thought J.J. Abrams was done with us after The Force Awakens, along comes another trick up his sleeve. As this weekend marks the release of the sequel, prequel, whatever it is, to his hit found footage flick Cloverfield, known as 10 Cloverfield Lane. Seeing as Abrams was able to produce this flick totally under the radar, and the trailer came out of literally nowhere 2 months ago, audiences are excited to find out what the hell this movie has in store for us. So seeing as this flick stars the legendary John Goodman, let's focus on another starring role for the big guy, where he tried surviving gigantic monsters and left audiences in utter terror. Yes, the year was 1994, and the Flintstones may have been off the air for a good 28 years, but it still remained one of the most popular cartoons ever made, continuing to pump out TV specials and selling everything from cereal to vitamins to cigarettes. Wait, cigarettes? What the fuck? So it made plenty of sense for them to hit the big screen too, with a little help from executive producer Steven Spielberg. Oh, I'm sorry, Steven Spielrock. Oh, clever idea, Steven. If the movie turned out terrible, you could just say, hey, it wasn't me, it was Steven Spielrock! And if you ask the critics, it certainly did turn out terrible, going so far as to win 2 Razzies, despite making millions at the box office. But I know I loved this movie as a kid, as well as the show, so let's see if it's held up over the years, and find out if this movie's any good. Man. Hey, I didn't write that joke. It was Steven Spielrock! So you know the basic premise of the Flintstones. Basically an animated honeymooners, but with cavemen and dinosaurs and shit. But for those of you who are unfamiliar, both the show and this movie focus on the comedic misadventures of prehistoric pals Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble, played here by John Goodman and Rick Moranis, who try to plot and scheme over the heads of their faithful wives, Wilma, played by Elizabeth Perkins, and Betty, played by Rosie O'Donnell?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. No.
Yes.
Yeah, more on her later. But now let's talk about the story, which concerns the construction company Fred and Barney work for, namely its sleazy senior executive Cliff Vandercave, played by Kyle MacLachlan, and his secretary, played by Halle Berry. Cliff is plotting to swindle the company and run off with the money, and looks for a hapless dope he can elect as vice president who will take the blame. So he gives the employees an aptitude test to find the man with the highest score, and Barney gets the highest score, while Fred gets the lowest. But Barney, who wants to pay Fred back for helping him adopt his new son Bam Bam,
Does he have a name? Bam Bam.
Is that short for something?
Bam Bam Bam.
Is that short for something?
decides to switch their tests around, and Fred becomes the new vice president of Slate & Co. Yes, because when you think the Flintstones, you think business corruption. You think couples struggling to adopt children, and you think blue-collar workers struggling with unemployment. And you think these things if you're an insane person. So as Fred's new job slowly turns him into a rich asshole, and Barney's low test scores lose him his job and force him to move in with the Flintstones, you come to sadly accept that despite the filmmaker's best efforts, the Flintstones was never destined to be a live-action movie. Sure, we all enjoyed the show when we were kids, but go back to it as an adult and you realize there's nothing there that the Honeymooners literally didn't do already, but better and without rock puns. So this film continues the show's tradition for lightweight humor with no edge to it, without the calming influence of animation.
Simple, low-cost, modular housing units.
I hate to bust your bubble, but if you build houses this small, who's gonna live in them?
What is this?
A center for ants!
Even though it's got a script written by the same guy who co-wrote Die Hard, along with 31 other people. Seriously, it took more people to write a Flintstones movie than it took to create a vaccine for polio. And that's just sad. But it's probably the best Flintstones movie that they could have made, and it's still not very good. But what is very good about this movie is everything else around the lousy script. For one thing, the casting for the lead parts is dead fucking on. John Goodman, Rick Moranis, and Elizabeth Perkins all nailed their parts, managing to do impressions of the Flintstones characters while making them their own and not trying too hard. Rosie O'Donnell as Betty, on the other hand, yeah, there's a reason she won a Razzie for this performance. But at least she's got the laugh down. And the rest of the actors do try to give this movie their all, whether it's Kyle MacLachlan, Halle Berry, or Elizabeth Taylor, here in her final theatrical performance as Fred's nagging mother-in-law.
I've got my hands full just being ashamed of him.
You got your hands full when you scratch your neck.
Hey, don't judge her. You know what they say about celebrities. Sometimes they get to end their career on a black star, other times they end it on a Street Fighter.
Of course!
Also, the animatronic effects for Dino and the rest of the dinosaurs are enormously impressive, as are the sets. And there's plenty of effort put up on the screen. It's just sad that it was all spent in the name of a Flintstones movie. Because watching this flick is like eating ice cubes. It doesn't do anything for you, but it's a harmless way to kill 90 minutes. So if you're a kid who hasn't grown over his love of the Flintstones yet, then you'll have fun. But if you're an adult, just skip the movie, and skip the show, and watch The Honeymooners instead. You know, why haven't they made a movie out of that show yet? And that would be... Oh, yeah, they did, and it sucked. Well, maybe they should do another Flintstones movie, and they can get it right this time. Oh, yeah, they did that too, and it was even worse. You know what, Hanna Barbera? Just stop making movies based off your shit. It's not working. Call me when you do the Jabberjaw movie, assholes. In case watching Fred Flintstone team up with John Cena didn't give you enough of a headache, it's time to give you another one after you sober up from the awfully good drinking game. Take a shot or drink every time they make a prehistoric or rock-related pun.
Son of a Brachiosaurus.
What you got today? Lizard and onions.
Fred's no Albert Einstein, but you never know.
You know what? Now that I think of it, Steven Spielrock doesn't even make sense. Here, I'll fucking fix it for you. Steven Spielboulder. You're welcome. You spot another prehistoric appliance.
This job sucks.
Oh yeah, sure, this is all fun and games until you see when Fred has to use the piranha penis enlarger. They show the bottom of someone's dirty feet. Somewhere out there, Quentin Tarantino watches these scenes and masturbates furiously. And take a double shot, not just when you spot the cameo by the B-52s, who oddly enough don't sing Rock Lobster, get it, but when you spot the leg lamp from A Christmas Story.
You know, I don't need this lamp.
Hey, wait a minute, this movie was directed by Brian Levant. Brian Levant later directed A Christmas Story too. Illuminati confirmed.
Conspiracy.
And on the nudie watch, you surprisingly get quite a lot of Halle Berry showing off her midriff and sultrily slicking her fine-ass figure in this kid's movie. As, what was her character's name again?
I'd like you to meet your new secretary, Miss Sharon Stone.
Oh, wait a minute. Halle Berry would later star with the real Sharon Stone in Catwoman. Illuminati double confirmed. On the enjoyableness continuum scale from Boulder Bruce, The Flintstones is what you might call stone cold mediocre because the movie's an epic shale. And look, fuck it, it gets a 4 out of 10. To put it simply, yabba dabba don't. Boom. There's a pun for your ass. I'm Jesse Shea for JoBlo.com, and I think we can be glad John Goodman didn't go on to play Fred Flintstone after this movie. Because if you know John Goodman, well, that would have ended tragically.
Why? My pebbles!
Hot 40 Pebbles cereal, part of this nutritious breakfast.
Joe Blow, he sure likes to drink a lot. Joe Blow